I have seen people use the head rule, like if a character is so tall and you're trying to make them proportional, you can use heads to depict that. Some people say that the human form should be 7.5 heads tall, and other people say that the human form should be 8 heads tall. I've heard some people say 7. I'm gonna be honest, generally speaking, some of it's just kind of eyeballing it. A lot of getting anatomy correct, I guess, is just vibe. It is looking at it and going, does that look correct? Does that look off? There's a few pointers that you can use that will help you get that feeling correct, though. The best thing that you can do with anatomy is try to make your proportions look intentional. You might not have a person that is perfectly symmetrical, perfectly built, but as long as it feels correct, you're golden. No one is going in there and making sure you get all of the knuckles of the hand completely correct, but they are gonna look at the hand and go, that feels a little flubby, or that feels like the fingers are kind of drawn like French fries and they don't have enough dimension to them. One of the things that stuck out to me about this drawing specifically, you can see where the hand is relative to the knee, and the hand is actually coming all the way down to the knee. Notably, it's going past the bottom of the pelvis. Usually the hand reaches to the mid-thigh and goes past the bottom of the pelvis. If you were to stand like a penguin with your arms to your side and you were to see where your hand lies, typically where the hand falls on the human form is right here, and the fingertips go down to the mid-thigh.
In 4th grade, I went to a summer camp they held at my school. My mom forgot to pack me a Capri Sun, and I forgot to drink water that day.
It's fucking over. You're cooked.
So at lunchtime, I started feeling a little woozy. I went to a teacher to ask if I could go to the bathroom, and she started to leave me there. All of a sudden, I closed my eyes, and I just couldn't open them. I started panicking, and since I couldn't see, I bumped into another teacher, fell on the floor, and started crying hysterically because I thought I had gone blind.
Just the feeling when no Capri Sun. Hold on, I have to do the lips chaps. I have drank one blind stew.
Eraserhead baby.
Someone that got me the Eraserhead baby. I was thinking the gray alien corpse. He's dead, but he's still got those hips. Those are his pelvic bones. The first tip that I really want to give is plan for your canvas. You don't have to be okay, I'm going to do a square canvas. I'm going to do a rectangle canvas. I know exactly the pixel size that I want to do for this. But what it does mean is give yourself a lot of space to draw, and don't be scared to chop off parts of what you're drawing if you wind up wanting to make a crop. Different canvases benefit different poses differently. Just regular rectangle canvas for this leaves a lot of white space up here and leaves things feeling kind of empty. So if you were to do more like this kind of canvas where you do a piece of paper, the white space gets more evenly distributed to over the tails. Don't feel like the feet have to be the bottom of the canvas, where things have to end. Rotating your art at an angle can sometimes help an otherwise stiff pose fill out a canvas. And also, don't be scared to crop out parts of your drawing. It's why it's good to decide framing from your sketch phase and experiment so you don't lose hard work in rendering. If we were to do just a very simple rectangle, the humble rectangle, you could rotate it so that Critter is like this. So then it's not a full body, but it is something that fills out the canvas and has kind of a nice diagonal motion to it. If you were just going to do a crop without any of the angle rotation, you could do something along these lines where you have just one tail like that. Which is just very funny. It's kind of comedic almost because of how silly the face is drawn and just the single tail. But it's there are ways to make even a stiff pose kind of interesting. Has anyone heard of the red ball theory in character design? Okay, so what it is in character design, if you're working for a client and they've hired you to do something, sometimes the way to make a client happy is to add something that is glaringly, obviously not very harmonious with the rest of the design, but doesn't piss you off so bad that if they didn't like it, or if they do wind up liking it, you won't be bashing your head into a wall forever. Because what it does is most people with design sense will recognize that the red ball, so to speak, shouldn't be there. So for example, literally doing it right now, I would just put an orb, quite literally a red ball on the design that's not the color of anything else, just put it right there in the middle of the design. Usually when you're working with corporate entities, they like to have things to say. They like to have additions and suggestions to make. And so by adding the red ball, you are giving them feedback that they can give you and say like, oh, this looks good, but could we remove that thing? And something about feeling like they contributed makes them feel good. So I always say design bigger, design a little crazier than maybe you need to go, so that when your client or whatever project you're working on knocks you back a peg and says, okay, looks good, but could we remove that thing, that thing, that thing? They get to feel like they've contributed, but you still get a design that you like because they haven't removed like the core and soul of your design. I see you're trying to have these antennae be glowing. Let me teach you a very simple trick to make something look like it's glowing. Instead of having to do any real sort of like shading here, take a white that is like very, very close to yellow. Now take the actual color of yellow that the ball originally was and just outline it. And if anything comes in proximity of the glow of this yellow, so like the antenna here, and what that does is it makes it look like it is emitting light, because if it were, it could just be softly glowing, especially if this character was in a dark environment like Muffet, but because this is like a very flat piece, like a reference image for the character, the glow is competing with a white background. So sometimes it's easier to just use the saturation of color to your advantage to make something look like it's glowing. And now from afar, it's like that becomes evident that that's a light source. I understand that standing poses can sometimes feel a little confusing, a little challenging when you're doing commission work or when you're drawing like a character and you want to like show what they look like but still not have them do anything crazy or out of character. My biggest piece of advice to you, if you are trying to make an interesting pose and you just want to have the character standing, is to incorporate a twist. And by that I mean have the different planes of the body face different directions so that you can have a little bit of intrigue in the pose itself. Over the shoulder type beat, where like the head's like this, the shoulders here, you have the chest out a little bit, and then we can raise the arm up like this. One of the things I also want is I kind of want there to be a hip pop, which I need to make the hip more like exaggerated if I'm gonna get that in there to keep stuff on the platter. So the platter's probably gonna be tipped more like this, and there would be like a little bend in the knee because this is twisting around the back. Yeah, there we go. The most evil thing that I ever did was I collected porcelain clown dolls and I would hide them around the house in really like kind of eerie areas. You know the attics where they have like the ladder that goes up to the attic, and then when you go up into the attic your head goes up first? I put a little clown doll just sitting and staring at the entrance to the attic. And also the attic's dark, there are no lights. The only light you have is a flashlight, so you would be seeing just this illuminated little clown with the flashlight. I did this to my dad, who's scared of clowns. I did hear him scream across the house, and then he walked into the room smiling, and I'm pissed off, but you haven't actually done anything completely horribly wrong smiling, but like I will make you pay for this, holding up the clown by its hat, and it looked like this because I was in my little sister's room at the time and her room was all bright pink, so he's standing in the entrance of this glowing pink room with this fuck ass little clown in a baseball cap, and the guy looks like he just shat himself.